He and his lover had an affair on my bed, fabricated evidence to ruin my career, and even brought my mother-in-law to the court to make trouble and scold me for being infertile. I couldn't bear it anymore and exposed the truth about his low sperm count in public, causing him to lose face. He thought he could use money to get rid of the mistress and use false affection to win me back. But little did he know that I had collected all the evidence and was ready to ruin his reputation and make him pay the price. The final outcome of this marriage is up to me. A new case assignment notification popped up on the computer screen, and the name Sterling Legal stung my eyes. It's another case from Jason's law firm. I took a deep breath and skillfully clicked apply for recusal in the system. The reason? Conflict of interest. The presiding judge has a marital relationship with the main partner of the defendant's law firm. This is the procedure, and also the silent battlefield rule between Jason and me. We were once the golden couple of law school, the enviable match in the legal profession. He was a spirited elite lawyer, and I was a calm and rational judge. To outsiders, we were a match made in heaven, perfectly interpreting the ideal image of a legal couple. Only I know that this bond called marriage is already rusty, leaving only cold procedures and growing estrangement. Sterling Legal, the law firm he founded, has now become a minefield that I need to be vigilant of at all times in my work. Every time the system assigns their case to me, it's like a reminder, reminding me of the precariousness of this relationship, reminding me that he is no longer the young man with light in his eyes. I had just submitted my recusal request when there was a knock on the office door. The sound was light and brisk, with a hint of inappropriate perkiness. "Come in," I said without looking up. The door opened, and the sound of high heels clicking on the floor was crisp, accompanied by a cloying perfume. Then, the voice I least wanted to hear. "Sarah, busy?" Jason_'s voice was deliberately light, as if we were just ordinary colleagues. I raised my head, my gaze passing over him and landing on the young girl behind him. In her early 20s, she was wearing a well-tailored business suit, her face adorned with a smile untouched by the world, her eyes sparkling as she looked at me with undisguised admiration. "Judge Miller." "Hello, I'm Haley, the new intern at Sterling Legal, and I particularly admire you." The girl's voice was sweet, with a hint of deliberate innocence. I frowned slightly. "Haley?" The name seemed familiar. "What can I do for you?" My voice was devoid of emotion. My professional demeanor as a judge has made me accustomed to concealing personal preferences. Haley is new and not very familiar with the court. I brought her to visit the judges. "Especially you, her most admired senior," Jason said with a smile, his arm naturally resting on the back of Haley's chair in an intimate manner. Haley immediately chimed in, Yes, Judge Miller, I've read so many of your judgments. They are so well written. The logic is rigorous. The legal principles are clear. You are simply my idol." This flattery was too straightforward, making me feel somewhat uncomfortable. I looked at her and said in a calm tone, "I think you've come to the wrong person, Miss Haley. According to the recusal rules, because my husband is a partner at Sterling Legal, I need to recuse myself from all cases involving your firm, including procedural and administrative matters. Theoretically, you shouldn't even be in my office right now." The smile on Haley's face stiffened for a moment. Then she showed an appropriate look of confusion. "Oh, is that so? I didn't know there was such a rule." She looked at Jason for help. Jason immediately chimed in, his tone full of patience towards the younger generation. "Sarah is right, Haley. The recusal system is to ensure judicial fairness. As lawyers, we must strictly abide by it. Look, Judge Miller is so rigorous, you should learn from him." As he spoke, he reached out and patted Haley's shoulder in what seemed like a comforting gesture, but his fingertips lingered on the side of her neck for a moment. This scene was extremely glaring. They were in my office, in front of me, the wife, putting on an act of intimacy as if no one else was around. I remember clearly that many years ago, Jason, then still a law student, had warned me with a serious face, "Sarah, the law is the rule, the bottom line. At all times, we must be in awe of the legal provisions and strictly abide by them." Back then, his eyes sparkled with idealism, but now, he was performing his familiarity with the rules and his provocation towards me in front of me, with his in turn. I sneered inwardly. The law stipulates that judges should recuse themselves from cases involving their spouse's law firm, but it doesn't say what a wife should do when her husband shows up in her office with his mistress. The letter of the law, after all, cannot regulate unpredictable hearts and emotional betrayal. "Excuse me for interrupting," My voice was a few degrees colder. My gaze moved away from Haley's feigned innocence and stared directly at Jason. According to court regulations, lawyers are not allowed to enter a judge's office area unless it's for court hearings or official business. If it's just a visit, please go to the designated reception room. Now, please leave. My tone was undeniably firm, even a bit harsh. The air in the office instantly froze. Haley's face paled, seemingly not expecting that I would be so unaccommodating. Jason's smile also disappeared, replaced by a hint of anger. Sarah, what's with your attitude? Haley is just a new intern. She doesn't know the rules. Do you have to talk like that? You're so petty. Petty? I repeated these 3 words, feeling incredibly sarcastic. Mr. Jason, in court, please call me Judge Miller. It's the rule, and it's respect. Jason was choked by my words, his face flushed with anger. Judge Miller? Very well indeed. Looking at his frustrated appearance, I suddenly felt a little tired. Years of superficial harmony, countless arguments and cold wars, have exhausted my last enthusiasm for this marriage. I don't want to argue with him about these trivialities anymore. I just want to know how long this farce will last. Jason, I switched to a more direct and hurtful way. How long do you plan to change to the next one? Is this internship enough? This sentence was like a poisoned dagger, accurately stabbing the ambiguous veil between him and Haley. Haley's face turned pale instantly. The innocence and adoration in her eyes disappeared, replaced by panic and embarrassment. Jason's face turned red. He pointed at me. His lips trembled, but he couldn't utter a word. Finally, Haley was the first to react. She tugged at Jason's arm and said in a tearful voice, "Brother Jason, let's go." Jason seemed to find a way out, glared at me fiercely, grabbed Haley's wrist, and almost dragged her away. The office door was slammed shut, shaking the law emblem on the wall slightly. I watched the closed door and listened to the gradually receding footsteps in the hallway. My heart felt like it was being tightly clenched by an invisible hand. Aching dully, the office returned to silence, with only the faint hum of the computer running. The sunlight outside the window was bright, but it couldn't shine into the gloom in my heart. Today is my birthday. Ironically, my husband just stormed out in front of me with another woman. I leaned back in my chair, closed my eyes, and tried to dispel the glaring scene from my mind. The image of Jason holding Haley's wrist overlapped strangely with the image of him holding my hand, chatting about the future on the tree-lined path of law school. At that time, we truly believed that we would be each other's final destination. He was a rising star in the legal world, and I was a budding young judge. We had common ideals, similar backgrounds, and comparable intellect. Everyone said we were a match made in heaven, the best example of mutual attraction. Together, we experienced the confusion of graduation, the hardship of job hunting, and the pressure of starting a career. I thought that those days of fighting together would be the strongest foundation for marriage. But when did things start to change? Was it from his increasingly frequent late returns and excuses? Was it from the ambiguous messages that occasionally appeared on his phone? Or was it from the way he looked at me, gradually losing its warmth, leaving only perfunctoriness and impatience? I opened my phone and habitually clicked on Instagram. Almost immediately, a new photo jumped into view. It was posted by Jason. In the photo, he and Haley were snuggled close together, with the backdrop of a restaurant that looked very high-end. Haley was beaming, her head leaning affectionately on Jason's shoulder, holding a delicate little cake with a candle in it. Jason was looking down at her, his eyes so gentle they could drip water. What suffocated me even more was that it was a live photo. I long pressed the screen, and the picture came to life. Haley blew a kiss at the camera, and Jason turned his head and gently kissed her forehead. The caption read, "Happy birthday to my sunshine." Sunshine? On my birthday, he's celebrating with another woman, calling her his sunshine. My stomach churned. So, he didn't forget my birthday, he was just spending it with another birthday girl. It turned out that everything in the office just now was not my illusion. Their relationship was no longer a simple one between a boss and an intern. I turned off my phone. The screen went dark, reflecting my pale and numb face. Actually, I should have known it long ago, shouldn't I? Jason and I have been living in disharmony for many years. The initial sweetness and passion have long been worn away by the daily trivialities and constantly growing suspicions. I'm not saying I didn't notice any clues. The perfume on his shirt that didn't belong to me, the call logs secretly deleted late at night, the luxury goods purchases that appeared inexplicably on the credit card bill. Each time, I chose to endure and gloss over the truth. Perhaps it was out of fear. Fear of facing the reality of a failed marriage. Fear of admitting that I chose the wrong person. Fear of shattering the illusion of a perfect family that seemed so glamorous to outsiders. As a judge, I have tried countless divorce cases and seen through the complexity of human nature and the fragility of marriage. But ironically, I cannot handle my own marriage well. I thought that as long as I didn't expose it, didn't dwell on it, I could maintain a superficial peace. I thought he would eventually come home after he had his fun. But I was wrong. My forbearance did not bring his guilt or return, but only his inching forward and intensifying behavior. From sneaking around to semi-public flirting, and now today, he directly brings her to my office, and even openly expresses his love on social media on my birthday. He doesn't take me seriously at all anymore. I sat blankly in the office for a long time until the sky outside the window was completely dark. My stomach was empty, but I had no appetite. Birthday cake? Candlelight dinner? These rituals that once symbolized romance and happiness now only feel ironic when I think about them. Dragging my tired body home, the moment I opened the door, I smelled a strange perfume, exactly the same as the one I smelled in the office during the day. The living room light was on. Jason was sitting on the sofa. When he saw me come back, a forced smile appeared on his face, with a hint of unnatural flattery. "Sarah, you're back. Sorry, the law firm had a lot of things to do today, and I forgot." He paused, his tone even more cautious. Happy birthday." I looked at his hypocritical performance, and my heart was cold. Something up? I was too lazy to expose his clumsy lies. He rubbed his hands, seemingly embarrassed to say it. "It's like this. Haley, the intern you met today, her family had some trouble, and she has no place to live for the time being. I saw that our spare bedroom is also empty, so I was thinking of letting her stay for a few days." My brain buzzed, and I almost thought I had misheard. Let his mistress live in our house? Live in the secondary bedroom next to mine? Anger and humiliation instantly overwhelmed me. I almost blurted out a question asking if he was crazy. Bang! But looking at his face, which was full of "I'm just helping out" of kindness, and looking at the calculation and probing hidden in the depths of his eyes, I suddenly felt a sense of extreme exhaustion. Argue? Question? Hysteria? Is it useful? It will only make him think I'm a shrew, and only give him more reason to throw himself into the arms of another woman. Years of forbearance have made me accustomed to suppressing my emotions. At this moment, I just want to end this disgusting conversation as soon as possible. Whatever. I threw down 3 words, and went straight to the master bedroom and closed the door. Outside the door, Jason's relieved sigh could be heard. I knew that my compromise, in his eyes, was acquiescence, was weakness, but I didn't care anymore. Some things, once broken, can never be put back together. Tonight, I just didn't want to waste a single bit of energy on this man. The next day, when I opened the door to the master bedroom, I saw Haley wearing my spare slippers and holding my spare towel, walking out of the guest bathroom next to the second bedroom. She saw me and gave me a sickeningly sweet smile. "Good morning, Sister Sarah." "Oh no, Judge Miller." She paused deliberately, as if emphasizing my status and the fact that we weren't close. I ignored her and walked straight to the kitchen. On the dining table was a half-drunk glass of milk. Next to it a small glass I usually use to grow plants, now with a delicate rose in it. Was that the same rose Jason gave to his sunshine yesterday? I walked to the sofa, ready to sit down, but found my favorite cashmere sofa cover thrown carelessly on the floor, while Haley's coat was draped ostentatiously on the back of the sofa, proclaiming her presence. Every corner of this house seemed to be silently occupied by her. In the following days, Haley's presence became increasingly strong. She would wander around the living room in the new pajamas Jason bought her when I got home from work. She would accidentally use my cup, and then look at me with an innocent and apologetic look. She even started posting some photos of the house on Instagram, subtly revealing the decorative paintings in our living room, or the green plants on the balcony, accompanied by some vague words, implying some kind of happy daily life. And Jason, he turned a blind eye to all of this, and even liked Haley's show-off posts. They were like 2 conspiring actors, staging a play called The Cuckoo Takes Over the Nest in front of me, constantly testing my bottom line. I mostly choose to ignore it. Dealing with those intricate cases in court has already taken up too much of my energy, and I don't want to waste any more energy on dealing with these 2 people. It wasn't until that day, when I returned home and pushed open the door to the master bedroom, that I was shocked to find a small succulent plant on my bedside table. It was the one Haley kept. She had always kept it on the windowsill of the second bedroom before. My master bedroom is my bottom line, the last private territory I have in this house. Her putting her things here is undoubtedly a blatant provocation. That moment, the suppressed anger finally broke through the dam of reason. I picked up the succulent pot and walked to the living room, where Haley and Jason were sitting on the sofa watching TV, very close to each other. I walked up to them and placed the succulent pot on the coffee table with a thump, scattering some soil. I don't like people touching my things, and I especially don't like people entering my bedroom. My voice wasn't loud, but it was so cold that it had no warmth at all. Take it away. Haley was startled by my actions. Her face drained of color, and she looked at Jason for help. Jason frowned, seemingly wanting to say something, but this time, to my surprise, he didn't defend Haley as usual. He looked at my icy face, then at the tearful Haley, and was uncharacteristically silent. Perhaps he finally realized that there are some bottom lines that even he cannot trample on at will. Or maybe he just didn't want to completely break the facade at this moment. Seeing that Jason didn't react, Haley had no choice but to stand up herself, timidly picked up the succulent plant, and whispered, "I'm sorry, Judge Miller, I just thought your bedside table was a bit empty and wanted to help you decorate." "I don't need it," I interrupted her. "Also, from now on, at home, you can call me Sarah, or Mrs. Miller, but not Judge Miller." Her face turned even paler as she hugged the succulent plant and almost fled back to the second bedroom. Only Jason and I were left in the living room. He looked at me with a complex expression. After a while, he sighed, his tone laced with a hypocritical helplessness. "Sarah, look at you. Why bother arguing with a young girl? She meant well." "Meant well?" I sneered. "What kind of meant well is putting her things on my bedside table?" All right. Jason waved his hand, seemingly not wanting to discuss the topic further. "I've already told her to find a place and move out as soon as possible. She was only staying temporarily anyway." He stood up, walked over to me, and tried to put his arm around my shoulder, but I dodged him. His hand froze in midair, a trace of embarrassment and displeasure flashing across his face. "Sarah, can we talk properly?" His tone softened. "I know we've had some issues lately, but there's nothing to talk about." I interrupted him. "I'm tired and want to rest." After speaking, I turned and walked back to the master bedroom, closing the door again. I know that this time, it seems like I won, forcing Haley to back down, but I'm also clear that this is only temporary. As long as my relationship with Jason isn't severed, this kind of farce will never end. Jason seems to be speaking up for me, but in reality, he's putting me on the spot, making me play the role of the mean, intolerant person, while he himself becomes the helpless, caught-in-the-middle good guy. How ridiculous. Life seemed to return to peace temporarily. Haley moved out in a few days, and the house lost that sweet, cloying perfume and the ubiquitous provocations. Even the air felt fresher. Why? Jason also seemed to have restrained himself a bit, started coming home on time, and occasionally even took the initiative to do some housework, trying to create a facade of we are working hard to repair the relationship. But I knew in my heart that some cracks, once created, can never be repaired. Beneath the calm surface, undercurrents were surging. I thought Haley's departure would at least reduce some of my work worries. But I was wrong. The real storm was just beginning to brew. Not long after, a photo began circulating on the internal forum. It was a partial screenshot of a judgment I had signed, but the crucial judgment amount had been clumsily altered, with the figure maliciously exaggerated several times over. It was accompanied by sarcastic text, implying that I was abusing my power, accepting bribes, and bending the law. The photo wasn't high resolution, and the signs of tampering were obvious, but for the uninformed masses, it was enough to cause a great uproar. Soon, the photo spread like a virus, from the internal forum to public social media platforms. All sorts of speculation and slander ran rampant, and the hashtag Judge Miller corruption even trended at one point. The court's disciplinary inspection department quickly intervened to investigate. Although it was eventually proven that the photo was forged, and my name was cleared, the negative impact was irreversible. I received an internal reprimand as a result, and was suspended from some trial work. My previously clear and bright career prospects were cast under a thick shadow. I know who's behind this. Besides Haley, the intern I drove away. Who else could it be? She's retaliating against me. Using such vile means to ruin my reputation. I picked up my phone, found Haley's number, and dialed it. I needed an explanation, or rather, I needed to confirm my suspicions. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered, but instead of Haley's voice, what came through the receiver was a blush-inducing mix of male and female gasps and moans. That voice. One of them was clearly Jason. "Hello, who is it?" Haley's voice was hoarse with lust and impatient at being disturbed, and in the background, I could hear Jason's low, satisfied sigh. My blood rushed to my head in an instant, then froze in a split second. An enormous sense of humiliation and disgust swept over me, making it almost impossible to hold my phone. They are together? While I was calling to question her, she was with my husband, having an affair? I hung up the phone abruptly, my fingers turning white from the force. My stomach churned violently, and I rushed to the bathroom, retching into the toilet, but nothing came out, only the sour bile burning my throat. So, she never left at all. She just moved out of my house and moved to some other place Jason arranged for her, continuing their filthy relationship. And I, like a fool, thought I had won around. A double blow, career setbacks and trampled dignity. I feel more tired and disgusted than ever before. That evening, I returned home. Jason was there too, sitting in the living room watching financial news, his expression as normal as ever, as if the lewd voice in the phone call during the day had nothing to do with him. He saw me and put down the remote. "You're back? How was your day?" I looked at his nonchalant face and suppressed the urge to question him. Confronting him now would only result in him blaming me instead, accusing me of being unreasonable, and would not achieve anything. I didn't answer and went straight to the master bedroom. I pushed open the door, and a faint, sweet perfume scent belonging to Haley wafted into my nose. Jason followed me in, saw me standing still at the door, and asked, "What's wrong? Has someone been in my bedroom?" I asked, my voice icy. "No," Jason denied immediately, his eyes flickering slightly. "I was the only one home today, and I didn't go into your room." "Is that so?" I walked to the bed, bent down, and carefully examined the light-colored sheets. Soon, my eyes locked onto the edge of the pillow, a long, brown hair, lying there quietly. "It's not my hair color, it's Haley's." At that moment, all the luck and self-deception vanished. They were not only hooking up while I was on the phone, but even moved the battlefield to my bed, in my exclusive, private space. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and when I opened them again, only endless exhaustion and determination remained in my eyes. I can't continue with this disgusting marriage, this one-man show of pretending everything is fine. I didn't look at Jason again, turned and walked out of the bedroom, and took out a few large garbage bags from the storage room. Back in the master bedroom, I started to take action, tearing off the bedding, sheets, pillows, all the things stained with their dirty aura, one by one, and stuffing them roughly into the garbage bags. Jason was stunned by my actions. "Sarah, what are you doing?" "Throw it away." My voice was terrifyingly calm. "It's dirty." "What the hell are you doing?" Jason tried to stop me. I shook off his hand, my eyes like knives. "Don't touch me. It makes me feel sick." Looking at his shocked and angry expression, I felt no emotion. This man is no longer worth me wasting any emotions on. I dragged the garbage bag full of bedding to the door, then took out my phone, flipped to a familiar number, and dialed it. The phone was quickly answered, and a gentle and steady male voice came through. "Sarah, long time no see." "Ethan," I said, my voice a little hoarse, but unusually firm. "This is Sarah Miller. I need your help. I want to file for divorce." Ethan, my college classmate, and now one of New York's top divorce lawyers. We used to be friends, but after graduation we went our separate ways and lost contact. "But I know he's the best person for the job." There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the phone, followed by Ethan's affirmative voice. "Okay, I understand. We can schedule a time at any time. My law firm always welcomes you." After hanging up the phone, I felt a huge weight lifted from my heart. Although the future is uncertain, at least I have taken the first step. In the days that followed, while handling the follow-up matters at work, I began to quietly collect evidence of Jason's infidelity and attempted transfer of property under Ethan's guidance. I never thought that one day I would snoop into my husband's privacy like a detective. But in order to fight for the rights and interests I deserve in the divorce proceedings, and in order not to lose completely, I have no choice. The most crucial evidence actually came from a corner I had almost forgotten, a shared cloud album we created early on to easily share travel photos. We haven't used it in ages, but I never deleted it. That day, I opened that album as if possessed. Besides our sweet photos from when we were young, there was a new folder called Honey. Clicking on the folder, disgusting scenes instantly flooded my eyes. It was full of intimate photos and videos of Jason and Haley, from the bed in a luxury hotel to the sofa in our living room, and even my master bedroom. Various poses, various angles. The scale was so large, it was sickening. Besides these visual impacts, there were also some screenshots of chat logs in the folder. It was a conversation between Jason and Haley. The content included how they mocked my forbearance, how they planned to gradually empty my property, and even discussed how to create the illusion of me cheating, so that I would end up with nothing. That old woman really thinks I'll be scared by her? Once I get my status and squeeze all the money out of her, I'll kick her away. This is what Haley said. Don't worry, baby, let's take it one step at a time. Her career is frustrated now, and she's upset. When we divorce, let her not even have pants to wear. This was Jason's response, his tone full of calculation and malice. Looking at this evidence, my hands were trembling slightly, not because of anger, but because of coldness. The man I once loved, the husband I shared a bed with, actually wanted to destroy me so deliberately. I calmly backed up, downloaded, and organized all the photos, videos, and chat logs, adding timestamps and source descriptions to each one. These will be my most powerful weapons in court. After collecting enough evidence, I moved out of the place once called home as quickly as possible. I rented an apartment not far from the courthouse and started a new life living alone. The news of my moving out seemed to make Jason feel uneasy. He started calling and texting me frequently, his tone changing from initial questioning to later probing and attempts to salvage the relationship. Sarah, what's wrong with you? Is there anything we can't talk about properly? Did you have to make such a scene by moving out? I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have let Haley move in. And I especially shouldn't have ignored your feelings. Come back. Let's start over, okay? I've already sent that woman away. I gave her some money and told her to get far away from here. I never thought about divorcing you. Really? I looked at the hypocritical words on my phone screen and felt only irony. Did he think that by paying off a Haley, he could erase all the betrayal and hurt? Did he think a few flimsy apologies could make me forget the disgusting evidence in the shared photo album? He doesn't even know that the Haley he paid off is probably planning how to squeeze even more money out of him. And he keeps saying he never thought about divorce, but the chat logs show him discussing with his mistress how to make me leave with nothing. This man's hypocrisy and selfishness are deeply ingrained. After the divorce proceedings started, Jason and I inevitably had to meet in court. That noon, I had just finished a court session and walked out of the courtroom when I saw Jason holding an insulated lunchbox, waiting at the door. When he saw me, he immediately came up to me with a deliberate smile on his face. Sarah, are you done? I brought you lunch, made by your favorite restaurant. He tried to hand me the lunchbox. I stepped back, avoiding his touch, and coldly swept my gaze over the lunchbox in his hand. No need. The court cafeteria is very clean. He couldn't possibly misunderstand my implication. It was a hint that his filth and betrayal had tainted everything between us, including the food. The smile on Jason's face froze, and his eyes instantly turned gloomy. Just then, Ethan walked out of the office next door, saw us, and nodded at me with a smile. Sarah, the information is ready. Shall we go over it this afternoon? Okay. I gave Ethan a sincere smile. Jason saw Ethan and me standing together, talking and laughing, and his face became even more unsightly. His suppressed anger finally erupted, and he roared at me without thinking. Good, Sarah Miller. No wonder you were in such a hurry to get a divorce. So you had already found a new one. Is he your new lover? His voice was very loud, attracting the attention of passing colleagues. I was simply amused by his shamelessness. He himself is a habitual cheater, bringing his mistress home, and now he is turning around and slandering me? I put away my smile and looked at him with icy eyes. Jason Sterling, cut out your tricks of crying thief. Whether I'm looking for a next option is none of your business. What you need to worry about now is how to prepare for the lawsuit. Oh, right. The money you spent on those interns and confidants. I will calculate it with you item by item. You must return the portion that belongs to the joint property of the couple. Ethan walked forward in a timely manner, stood beside me, and said in a calm tone, but with an unquestionable sense of oppression, Mr. Sterling, if you have any evidence for your accusations against my client, you are welcome to submit it in court. If not, this kind of public defamation may put you at additional legal risk. Jason looked at Ethan, who had a powerful aura, and then looked at my uncompromising attitude. His face turned green and white. Finally, he glared at me hatefully and turned around and left dejectedly. Looking at his embarrassed back, I didn't feel any joy in my heart, only a sense of exhaustion as the dust settled. Thank you, Ethan, I said to the man beside me. Ethan looked at me, his eyes gentle. No need to thank me. You can't leave any room for illusion when dealing with this kind of person. He paused, a faint smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. However, what he just said reminded me. Sarah, we've known each other for so many years, and now that you're single again, do I have a chance? His gaze was honest and direct, with a hint of expectation. I was stunned for a moment, then chuckled. Ethan, I'm not in the mood for a relationship right now. It's okay, I can wait. Ethan shrugged, his smile still there. I'll be here waiting for you to deal with these upsetting things, and when you're ready. His openness and patience warmed my heart. Maybe saying goodbye to the wrong person is the only way to meet the right one. Just as the divorce proceedings were moving forward step by step, I received an unexpected call. It was Haley. Her voice was no longer the sweet or aggrieved tone from before, but filled with a desperate, resentful, and urgent tone. Judge Miller. No, Sarah, I know you hate me, but right now, we have a common enemy. I frowned. What do you mean? That bastard Jason. He dumped me. He's trying to get rid of me with money. Everything he promised me was a lie. Haley's voice was full of resentment and anger. Does he think I'm that easy to get rid of? In his dreams, isn't he afraid you'll take his property? Isn't he looking for someone to commit perjury, saying that money was all company operating costs? I have evidence. I have a recording of him and his assistant colluding. I was a little surprised. Haley would actually contact me to provide evidence against Jason? What do you want? I asked. It's very simple, Haley said, a hint of slyness in her voice. In the divorce proceedings, let me off the hook. Don't pursue the trouble I caused you before. Also, I want to keep the money he gave me. As long as you agree, I will send you the recording immediately. She admitted it. She was indeed the one who sent that doctored photo of the verdict. She did it not only to get revenge on Jason, but also to teach a lesson to me, the annoying first wife. This woman /s scheming and viciousness are truly chilling. Although I despise people like Haley from the bottom of my heart, the evidence she has is crucial to my divorce proceedings. Jason has hired the best legal team in New York, and without solid evidence to prove that he maliciously transferred assets and colluded, the lawsuit will be difficult to win. Send the recording to my email, I said coldly. As for your conditions, I will consider them, but the final decision rests with the court, not me. After hanging up, I immediately forwarded the received recording file to Ethan. After listening to the recording, Ethan's tone became much more relaxed. Sarah, this is solid. With this recording, exposing his lies will be a piece of cake, but I didn't feel relieved. Using evidence provided by someone equally despicable to defeat another despicable person made me feel dirty, but that's the reality, and I can only choose the way that is most beneficial to me. However, Jason's counterattack came faster and more unscrupulously than I expected. A few days later, a middle-aged woman suddenly rushed into the courthouse lobby, demanding to see me by name. She was well-dressed but looked agitated. As soon as she saw me walking out of the office, she pounced on me, cursing, "You barren hen, Jinx. Jason was incredibly unlucky to marry you. After so many years of marriage, you can't even produce a child. And you still have the nerve to file for divorce and divide the family property? Let me tell you, no way." Quickly spit out the bride price our family gave, and all the money spent on you over the years. Jason's mother, my mother-in-law. Her shrill scolding echoed in the solemn courtroom hall, attracting countless onlookers. I looked at her face, twisted with anger, and listened to the filthy abuse, feeling only a wave of dizziness. For so many years, because I didn't have children, my life in my husband's family was not easy. My mother-in-law's explicit and implicit urging and accusations had long been commonplace, but I didn't expect that at this time she would actually come to the court and humiliate me in this way. Did Jason instruct her to do this? Does he want to force me to submit in this way? The crowd grew larger, and the pointing and whispering comments pricked at me like needles. My cheeks burned, and I couldn't help but feel my eyes welling up. But I can't fall. I can't let them get their way. I took a deep breath, suppressed the lump in my throat, and looked at my hysterical mother-in-law. I suddenly felt a desperate urge to throw caution to the wind. Since they don't care about my reputation, why should I bother preserving their ridiculous dignity? Instead of breaking down or arguing as she expected, I suddenly covered my face and let out a suppressed, utterly aggrieved sob. "Mom, how could you say that to me?" My voice was tearful and intermittent, but clear enough for the people around to hear. "For so many years, I've always wanted a child, but, I raised my head, looking at her with teary eyes, my voice suddenly rising, with a desperate resignation. "But the doctor said, it's Jason's problem. He has severe oligoasthenospermia. He can't have children at all. How can you put all the blame on me?" This sentence was like dropping a bomb on a calm lake. The whole hall fell silent instantly. Everyone's eyes shifted from me to my mother-in-law's face, which was filled with stunned disbelief. My mother-in-law clearly didn't expect me to reveal this secret in public. Her face turned as red as a pig's liver, and she pointed at me, stuttering, you for a long time without being able to say a word. Low sperm count? So the problem lies with the man. No wonder they haven't had children after being married for so many years. I thought it was the judge's problem. This mother-in-law is too much. Her own son has a problem, and she comes to the court to scold her daughter-in-law? Exactly. She's bullying people too much. The surrounding discussion started again, but the direction had completely changed. Sympathetic eyes were cast on me, and accusing eyes were shot at my mother-in-law. The mother-in-law was so ashamed by the discussion and gazes of the crowd that she was both angry and anxious. She even wanted to come up and tear at me, but she was stopped by the bailiffs who arrived in time and was eventually invited out of the court hall in a semi-compulsory manner. The farce finally came to an end. I stood there, letting the tears fall, but felt strangely calm in my heart. Some scars, although painful when uncovered, are better than letting them fester and suppurate in the dark. Jason quickly learned about this. His proud male dignity was torn to shreds by me in public. It is said that he flew into a rage in the office and smashed a lot of things. That night, I received a short message from him. "Sarah Miller, you are ruthless enough. Divorce. I agree. Get the formalities done as soon as possible." There was no anger, no questioning, only a kind of cold, resigned exhaustion. I knew that I had completely crushed his last line of defense. But that's not enough. What he owes me is not just an apology, a smooth divorce. I opened my phone and found the Sterling family WhatsApp group that once symbolized family harmony. Taking a deep breath, I selected a few of the most representative explicit photos from the shared album and sent them in. Then, before the group exploded, I quickly retracted the message. But a few seconds of pause was enough. Enough for all the relatives in the group, including my parents-in-law, to see clearly what kind of person their proud son really was. Immediately afterwards, I left the group chat and blacklisted all the Sterling family members. My phone immediately exploded with calls. Some were from my parents, some were concerned, some were angry, but most were supportive. They had long been dissatisfied with Jason and his family's behavior, but they had been it out of consideration for my feelings. Now, they only hoped that I would get out of this sea of suffering as soon as possible. "Well done, daughter. It's better to get rid of this kind of scumbag sooner rather than later." My father's voice was excited on the phone. "Why didn't you tell us sooner that you've suffered so much?" Her mother's voice was filled with heartache and anger. And those bed photos, as expected, were leaked by some kind-hearted relative and quickly spread on the internet. Although they were quickly deleted by the platform, the scandal of Jason Sterling's lawyer and his young intern has become the biggest gossip in the industry. His top law firm, Sterling Legal, in order to maintain its reputation, immediately issued a statement announcing the termination of its partnership with Jason Sterling and the termination of all his positions. His career, which he had painstakingly built for many years, was destroyed overnight. He gave me his last call, his voice hoarse and venomous. "Sarah Miller, you're a lunatic. I'm going to sue you. Sue you for invasion of privacy. I'm going to ruin your reputation, whatever." I responded indifferently and hung up the phone. I have nothing to fear anymore. Reputation? When he brought his mistress into the house, when he and his lover were having an affair on my bed, and when he tried to fabricate evidence to ruin my career, my reputation had already been trampled by them. Now, I am just giving him a taste of his own medicine. The divorce decree came down quickly. Because there was solid evidence of infidelity and recorded collusion, the court ruled that Jason was at fault. When dividing the marital property, I received my rightful share, and because of his malicious transfer of property, he also had to compensate me additionally. But this is not the end. Because the collusion recording provided by Haley involved fabricating evidence and obstructing justice, the prosecutor's office intervened to investigate. Jason not only lost his job and reputation but also faces criminal charges. His law license was revoked, completely ending his career. As for Haley, although she temporarily escaped legal sanctions, her reputation was completely ruined. What's worse, she seemed to have offended other powerful people while messing around with Jason. I later heard some sporadic news that she was retaliated against and met a miserable end. However, all of this has nothing to do with me. The day I received the divorce decree, the sun was shining. Ethan invited some mutual friends to celebrate for me at a rooftop restaurant with a panoramic view. To freedom, Ethan raised his glass, looking at me with a gentle smile. To the freshmen, my friends also raised their glasses one after another. I smiled and clinked glasses with them, drinking the champagne in one gulp. The bubbles burst on my tongue, bringing an unprecedented sense of joy and ease. The shadows of the past seemed to be dispelled by the sunlight, and the boulder weighing on my heart was finally removed. Although I had experienced an embarrassing tear and painful struggle, I finally broke free from that toxic relationship and regained control of my life. Ethan sat across from me, his eyes focused. "Sarah, now, can you finally consider my proposal?" Looking into his sincere eyes, I smiled, not answering immediately, but turning my gaze to the vast sky outside the window. "My life," I said softly, my voice filled with relief and strength. "From now on, I'm in charge. The air of freedom is wonderful,